What's going on, guys? The summer movie season coming to a close. Before the summer started, we assembled an esteemed panel of some of the finest movie minds to make their predictions on the top 10 summer box office films domestically. The results are in. Are you as excited as I am to find out who won? Let's say hello to our returning panelists. First, she is one of the co-hosts of the podcast Tights and Fights. It's a wrestling podcast.
Yes.
And one of the role players on the live Twitch role-playing show, Valiant Vanquished.
I am.
Welcome back, Daniel Radford.
Hi. Hey, guys.
Hey, hi.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yes. And, you know him, you love him. He's the head writer of Honest Trailers, an all-around swell guy, Spencer Gilbert.
Yes.
Yes. And, this man is, you know him from Movie Fights and Honest Trailers and all over the place. Thanks for coming across the hall, Mr. Dan Merle.
Yes.
Yes.
I like the subdued yes.
So, what do we think about the summer? What are just some overall impressions right out the gate?
Well, that was weird. It's a weird paradox, which is that box office-wise, the summer was a pretty big disappointment as far as numbers go. Mm-hmm. I think the movies were way better than last summer, which was a better box office year.
What's one of your big surprises that you're like, man, why did that do so bad? Or that overperformed in my eyes?
It was exactly as bad as I thought it was going to be, but Transformers, the last night, when you look at how much that made, not just here in the U.S., but globally, like Transformers Age of Extinction was a $1 billion movie with a B. 3 years later, it's making half that. It was by far the lowest grossing here in the U.S., but to see it take such a dive globally, simultaneously, that's not how it usually works. So yeah. I thought Transformers last night was going to, I said I didn't think it'd do well here, but I thought it would do $1 billion overseas. That was my biggest surprise, was that like not only did we lose interest in Transformers, the world lost interest in Transformers.
Making the world a better place.
Yes, right? There's hope after all.
Yes. Spencer, did you have any particular films that you're like, wow, I did not expect that?
War for the Planet of the Apes deserved better.
Yeah.
This was a beautiful end to one of the better movie trilogies in recent history, and it kind of left with a thud box office-wise. And quality-wise, this was up there with the first two. I don't understand why people skipped it the way they did, but the movie probably deserved a better shot.
Absolutely.
I mean, it opened between Spider-Man and Dunkirk, which nobody saw except for you. The box office phenomenon that Dunkirk was going to be, not phenomenon, but that it would do that well. And now, as we are historically in one of the worst Augusts of Hollywood ever, hindsight being 2020, I think War for the Planet of the Apes might have done better.
Ooh, if that was coming out this weekend?
If it was coming out this weekend, or
Yeah.
if they'd saved it for August.
Danielle, you were the highest on Wonder Woman, which won the entire summer. You had it number 3 on your list. Now, were you able to see the future, or did you just chalk it up to girl power? How did you know that Wonder Woman was going to do so well?
Go power. I hedged it simply because at the time there were rumors, people were saying different things. Some people were saying that it was looking like it was going to be good. Some people had felt really soured on the DC franchise by that point. My thing was, if it is a good movie, it's going to do well, because Wonder Woman's a huge iconic character, and this was the first time that she's had a huge movie. And she is one of the big three. She's like one of the most recognizable names in superheroes. And so I knew, and I argued at the time, that if Wonder Woman wound up being good and it's this huge marquee film, women were going to come out, and we did, and we came out a lot, and it wasn't just us. Everybody saw that movie.
One well-trod franchise that still made the top 5, Pirates, Dead Man Tell No Tales. I mean, Johnny Depp still sailed that ship to box office gold.
Kind of. I mean, it's in a relative term. This was, again, by far the lowest grossing Pirates film domestically. Internationally, it did well. It's in the $700 to $800 million range. Did not make $1 billion like the last one. So even Pirates, I think, is now showing signs of lagging off. You know, Pirates and Baywatch both opened the same weekend. I think they might have cannibalized each other's box office too, but I think particularly with Pirates, it was, why do I need to go see this movie? I think that was the word of mouth from people that saw it, was like, it's a Pirates movie. It's exactly the same as the other Pirates movies, and it's getting harder and harder to get people off the couch, and I just don't think that movie offered anything new to motivate people to go see it.
I do think it's a good point about it coming out at the same time as Baywatch, just because they were both, you think pirates, obviously you think action, but you also think very broad comedy. Baywatch was clearly all broad comedy with like some action. So there is a chance that if you were going to see one wacky thing that weekend, you were going to pick between the two of those movies.
By the box office, the
No, it wasn't
audience
gonna be
chose
Baywatch.
neither of them. They went none of the above.
Yeah, there's a little bit of been there, done that fatigue in regards to that film. And speaking of a little bit of fatigue, man, The Rock didn't bring it this year. Dan and Danielle, you both had Baywatch on your list, and with good reason. Central Intelligence, top 10 film last year. The year before, San Andreas was a top 10 summer box office grossing film. What happened to The Rock?
The third year running, I'm sitting in this chair bemoaning a Rock-related box office decision.
He's always going to be. He's going to be that thing. Like, you're never going to catch up to The Rock. He's always going to surprise you.
You can't chase The Rock. You just hold your hand and let The Rock come to you.
I guess so. Because
Like a bird.
Didn't pick San Andreas. Didn't pick Central Intelligence. Did pick Baywatch. Baywatch didn't work. Maybe because The Rock wasn't in it. He was gone for like the last almost third act of the movie. Like for a movie that was featuring The Rock, they sure didn't feature The Rock that much.
You just spoiled Baywatch for me, Dan. How dare you?
The script spoiled Baywatch for you.
Let's take a look at some of the outliers, some of the overperformers and underperformers on our lists. Danielle, you had 7 right out of 10. The 3 that did not make it. Baywatch, as we mentioned, The Mummy, and The Dark Tower.
With The Mummy, it was another one that was going to start a franchise. I thought more people would be curious about it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And just no one cared. I figured at least like maybe that first weekend people would say, Universal's starting a new thing. We're going to come out and at least be curious enough to check it out. It's got the Tom Cruise. He's great at running. But no. And then with Dark Tower, I guess I thought that more people who read the books and were huge fans of Stephen King were going to come out regardless. And even a lot of those people were like, yeah, no thanks. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. It wasn't what I wanted. I think that a lot of the marketing didn't really do it a lot of good. People were going in expecting, I think, it to be more of like a 1-1 translation of the book, which it turned out that it was not. So all those things combined, that knocked me down.
Yeah.
But I did nail my top 3.
Yes, you had the top 3 films of the summer, different order,
Yeah.
but you're on point there.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Dan, so you hit 8 out of 10, and it was just your 9 and 10 movies that you thought would eke in Baywatch and Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
You got to take a risk.
Yes.
You got to take a risk, and I took a role on Valerian, which, take yourself back to May, looked very intriguing, very interesting. I knew that it was risky. It was obviously a bad choice. However, I will say, I would not have picked either of the 2 movies that replaced mine, which were Dunkirk, which I think far exceeded a lot of people's expectations, and Girls Trip, which has been, that's the wild card for this summer. That's the movie that nobody picked. It wasn't even on anyone's radar.
Yep.
Hilarious movie, by the way. It's great to see an actually good, funny movie can break through. I want to give some shout out as an Edgar Wright fan, too, to Baby Driver, which is the 11th highest ranking movie this summer. Just eked out of the top 10. I love that Edgar Wright got some mainstream success with that movie, and I hope that it even further puts into people's minds how great of a director he is, and that Hollywood will give him more chances because he's now shown that he can make something financially viable.
I hear he's in the running for Pirate 6.
Oh, God.
So you mentioned Dunkirk. We haven't talked a ton about it. That's a little bit of an outlier to me because it's more of a prestige movie, an Oscar caliber film that made the top 10.
Yeah, well, I put it in my top 10. If you talk about movies on the internet long enough, you realize that this guy, Chris Nolan's got some fans. He's got some people who appreciate his film.
I think you got something there,
Yeah, and I was just banking on the fact that they might show up, and he made the event movie that you need to see on the big screen.
Yes, that's the big thing about Dunkirk, is that is a movie that you really need to see in a movie theater with all of its glory.
Immerse yourself.
Yeah, that is the kind of movie that is, and I think it was very wisely sold that way as well. That was like, no, like, don't wait for this for Netflix. You need to see this.
Seek out a 70mm screen, which probably costs more, too, adding to the ticket price.
I'm going to jump over to my list real quick. So I had 8 right, but I also included Captain Underpants, and Rough Night. And it was a rough box office performance for Rough Night, which came in at 31. Captain Underpants, not bad at 16, but that's no top 10 finish.
It seems so weird that a lot of people were putting Rough Night and Girls Trip kind of like, I know they're very similar.
Ladies getting a little crazy, kind of on that Bridesmaids family tree.
And the trailer for Girls Trip undersold that movie.
It really, really did. And that was, I think, where a lot of those comparisons came from, because the two of them were like, ooh, wacky, ooh, sex workers, ooh, booty holes.
Yep, I love that we're seeing the praises of Girls Trip because, the trailer did look a little lowest common denominator, but then, no, it was legit funny. The movie had a heart. And Tiffany Haddish, maybe the breakout performance of the summer.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely.
And she should get the same way that Melissa McCarthy got an Oscar nomination for Bridesmaids. I think Tiffany Haddish should get a nomination for Girls Trip because I thought her performance was just as good and just as much of a breakout performance.
Okay, drum roll please. Hope you're banging on your laptop at home. The winner of our box office predictions with 9 right, Spencer Gilbert.
Thank you.
How'd you do it? What dark gods, old or new, did you consult?
I invoked them all, but I gotta tell you, if Dunkirk was my bet for humanity, and they pulled through, Emoji Movie was my bet against humanity.
Yes.
So thank you for not giving me 10 out of 10, for not going up to support the Emoji Movie. I thought that movie looked like poop, and I thought that I'm glad people agreed with me. So yeah.
Spencer, I salute you, sir, for your victory, and it continues our proud tradition of never having a repeat winner. We also put out a call to action for you to give us your top 10 summer box office predictions. And you did. And please, without further ado, check out our winner. Congratulations. You got some prizes coming your way. Let's all shed a little tear for the departure of the summer movie season. There we go. Oh, that was real sweet, you guys. And look forward to the Oscar Beatty fall movie season. Yeah!
And Thor.
And Thor, yes. Yeah. Daniel Radford, Spencer Gilbert, Dan Merle, thank you for coming in and going over these results and talking movies. Always a good time. And I want to thank you for watching. What were your biggest surprises of the summer? Let us know in the comments section below. We want to know. I want to thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye.